Hi everyone, I hope everyone is doing well and is having a really nice summer so far. Let's see, today is Sunday and I thought I would just, since I'm working on my Jane Eyre journal before I go off to frost my granddaughter's birthday cake. I think I mentioned I made that yesterday and today is cake frosting day. So what I plan to do is frost the crumb layer and then frost the main layer and of course fill all the layers, but then I'll do the final decorating right before I go. I know you needed that update. We go next week to her birthday party. She's going to be 3. She's growing up so fast. Anyway, so I thought I would work on just choose one signature to kind of finish up, and we're going to work a little bit, not a little bit, probably a lot bit in this signature right here. So this is the pocket that I have cut out, the double pocket for this section here. Now I know I'm covering up these flowers, but you know, they're pretty, but they're kind of not exactly me. So I'm happy to cover them up. A lot of time when I choose scrapbook papers, I look all the way around the whole piece of the 12 by 12 paper. And I love working with 12 by 12 papers. I love that you can cut out journal pages and then have so much left over for tags and pockets and everything. So, but I love this lovely part up here. I love these words, these collaged words, but I'm not thrilled with these flowers. So this pocket will really cover those up nicely. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got my golden soft gel semi-gloss matte. It's not shiny, it's matte acrylic medium, and I am going to do some collaging on this pocket, and I'll show you right here. This is what I like to do with my Paste Picante bottles. I paint them and then I put little decals on them and they make perfect, and they look so pretty sitting on my table. I love to do that. So I'm just going to take some of this matte, gel matte medium, and I'm going to, and this is Golden brand. I really do like this brand. I buy this giant tub. It lasts a really long time. I make sure I keep it tightly closed so it doesn't dry out, and of course my husband has to open it for me. But this is really great for collaging because you can work with it. With glue stick, I found things just tend to I break so many old pieces of paper with glue stick, but this gel matte medium, when you work with a brush, you can really collage the pages on there, and you can go over it so that you can get a really smooth effect with the pages. Now I've taken pages out of some Jane Eyres that I have. These are all Jane Eyres that are like ex-library copies that are completely dilapidated, and they really are so brittle you really couldn't use them for much of anything. In fact, you can't even really read them without the pages breaking apart. So I like to find old Jane Eyre copies. Maybe they have a great cover, like the cover that I copied for like the copy. Did I do that backwards? I think I did. So I'm going to do this like that, and then I'm gonna finish it off. Like the cover that I scanned to use for the journal we're working on today. Yeah, I really search out lower price. I have a couple of really lovely Jane Eyres. I should show them to you. I do have a second edition that was rebound, but it's the original second edition from like 1840 something. And yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and collage these Jane Eyre novel pages onto parts of this journal just to give it its Jane Eyreness. Now the way I usually really get these Jane Eyre journals into their Jane Eyre distinct personality is I like to use bits of old novels. I have Jane Eyre ephemera that I've made that I've used in other journals, and I always make something new for all of my Jane Eyre journals. I try to go in and make new journaling cards. So I'm going to let that dry like that, and then I'm going to take this corner that I'm also going to collage just a little bit of this piece. I love chapter headings. I really just love working with chapter whatever. This is chapter 17, I think. Yeah. So I'm gonna just put that on there, and I'm gonna stop for just a second because my phone is ringing. Okay, it was my sister. I have to call her back. All right, so and that's my lovely good sister who Amy, who helped me make my studio what it is today, because she's just a machine when it comes to cleaning things up and going through stuff. And she really did force me to recognize that I was hanging on to some really stupid stuff. But anyway, so we've collaged that little bit, and then let's look at the other pages of this section. Now here's the piece I made yesterday. I did add buttons. I'm still going to add a dangle to this, I think. Maybe, I don't know, it might interfere with the buttons, but I do love the way that has turned out. Now we have these pages. Now these would have been a great middle page, but I did choose this for the middle page because I wanted to cover up these flowers. And I've got this pocket that I need to work on. So I think I will work on this one. I am gonna take some of my old pages here and just add a little bit up at the top. I'm gonna tear some of this one off, and you can see how completely crumbly these pages are. I don't want to interfere with that writing right there. I also look for words that are sort of meaningful to Jane Eyre readers, and the name Bessie everyone should recognize as being the person who worked in her aunt's in her aunt's house, I think. It's been a while since I read it. Either that or she works for Mrs. Fairfax, but whatever. Bessie is one of the characters in the book. She's a maid. Anyway, so I'm going to add this to the top here, and I want it to say Jane Eyre. So I'm gonna just put that on there like that, and then collage over it so it doesn't act crumbly, and it will stick down. And this mat dries matte so that it really will look like it's maybe even part of the page. It'll be pretty. And then I think I'm gonna put just a little bit down here on my pocket. I'm gonna look for some more words. Oh, here's another one. Yeah, it is Bessie is Miss Reed's. Miss Reed is the evil aunt in the very beginning. And I'm going to use these words. Why, that's beautiful, Miss Jane. I like those words. So I'm going to just tear it, and I'm going to tear it down like that. And I don't want to cover up my butterfly, my dragonfly. So I think I'll do this. I'm gonna cut it off a little bit more and just put a little, get rid of that bit right there, and just put a little right here. Yeah, just a little, just to give it, or should I put it down at the bottom? I think I will. I'll put it down at the bottom because I still want some of these script words to show that are on this already. Let me just put some on the back. And then let me just put it on there like that. It's as fine a picture as any. I want that to show, because Jane Eyre was a very accomplished sketch artist and could, and that's what she was working with Adele on, and she would often sketch. So I'm gonna let that dry, and then when it dries, I will cut those edges off, or maybe let me just go under here and get that stuck down a little bit better. There we go. I think one of these days I'm going to work on doing a tutorial for one of my little wallet size collage books. Excuse me just a minute, I'm going to blow my nose. Okay, all of a sudden I get into my studio and I develop a runny nose. I don't know why. So those all need to dry. I think, let's see if there's any other places I want to put something. The perfect one to actually add some collaging to would be this inside. And this is perfect because it's blank to begin with. So I'm going to grab some of my papers that I've torn, and I think I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to add some chapter headings. Oh, I love this poem that I tore out, and I think I'll put that down one side. What I'll do is I'm gonna tear it down, there, and tear it down this way too, just to make it narrow. There we go. Make sure I don't get any of the words. And I think I'll take that off. Let's see. What side should I put it on? I kind of like it on that side there. Yeah, that's kind of nice. I think I'll stain some of the edges before I put it down, just to give it sort of an old burnished look to match the top and the top of the page. And then that way I can like put it up against that stitching. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is, this paper's a little more sturdy. I think I'm going to do a little bit of gluing to get it down, and then I'm going to collage over it. Oh, but I love that part. I don't know. I'll just have to let that part go. It's just going to have to not be part of it. Maybe I can find the rest of it in another book that I've got and use it. Okay. Let's see. This way I can put this up here like this. And then I'm going to collage over it. I'm going to put the matte gel over it so that I can eventually kind of smooth out those edges. But that'll look nice on there. And what I can do is I think I'll put maybe a piece of lace over it so that it just sort of shows through. And I'll get out my lace box and use some of my Antique Adventures lace. I talked about Antique Adventures in one of my other videos. It's a lace shop on Etsy. It's really wonderful. Let's see. Okay, get it all smoothed out. There we go. That's nice. Okay, so we're going to need to let that dry. In the meantime, I think, let's see what else. I wonder how the center section is coming out. I think I'm going to put my brush away and put my matte gel away for now. The thing you need to know about matte gel is I always try to keep this edge really clean and in here really clean, because it tends, if it dries on the screw top, you have to definitely ask your husband to open it up with a set of pliers. So I'll be right back when I put this. Okay, I took quite a long break because I have things that happened. All right, so I have gone through and figured out what I'm going to do. Here's the pocket that I had cut out, and what I'm going to decorate it with is this little pile of book parts from a book spine that I got from House of Books. I think I learned this from Rhonda at A Little Bit French. I'll put a link to their store below. And I'm going to do some coffee filter ruffle and some crinkled ribbon. And I love this because it reminds me of a bird's nest. And as you know, Jane Eyre, has the famous quote, I am no bird and no net ensnares me. I love that quote. So anyway, I'm going to do that with that pocket. Here is what I've decided to do with my double pocket that's all dry now that I collaged on here. I've cut this doily from Antique Adventures in half, and I'm going to apply it like that. So first, what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to go and work on these two things on my sewing machine, because I am going to sew this down and then do a little gluing as well. I need to iron it out here as well. I think I'm going to starch and iron these. So I'm going to go quickly do those, come back and show you, and then I've got one more lace idea that I'm going to do inside this particular signature. So I'll be right back. Okay, so what I've done here is, let me show you. I sewed the coffee filter ruffle to the back side, and then I used my crinkle ribbon and just really sort of scrunched it up as I sewed it, and used the book binding elements right there. And then I think what I want to do with this one is I'm going to take one of these cherry blossom mulberry flowers. I'm going to just sort of use a little bit of distressing just to give it a sort of a worn look. I'm going to smush it a little bit, and then I'm going to just glue that down right there in amongst the grassy area, this dried grassy look that I've got going on. And just put that there. I like the look of them all sort of smushed up. I like that. And then this pocket is going to go onto this page. Now, I do need to trim off the top up here, some of this ruffle. Put that away. And then I'm going to need to tack that down right there with, I think I'm going to do glue, because I am going to have the pocket here. I think I could sew this down, and I think that would look nice. So I will do that. Now what I'm going to do with this pocket, which is the center double pocket, I sewed these doilies down, but they're of course loose and floppy. So I didn't want to sew up onto it. So I'm going to just take some Fabri-Tac and just run it along the edges like this, just to reinforce that pocket on both sides, just like this, and that will enable it to hold something like little tchotchkes. So we've done that. I think I will, let me see, where does the center pocket goes in here. So first I'm going to sew this down, and then I'm going to probably sew this down as well. So I'm going to go run over to my sewing machine and really quickly sew those things in. All right, so I sewed this pocket down all along the edge. It makes it nice and flat, which will help because the flower is of course going to add bulk. But in these keepsake journals, I would say they're not like the tightest closing journals. Now I got to thinking, before I sewed this down, I wanted to do something along here. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do a ribbon or if I'm going to do a ribbon, or yeah, I might do ribbon. That might be pretty. If I do some more of my ruffle like that, and then some of the ribbon. Let's see what colors I have. I have this color, which might be pretty, rumpled up along the edge here. Let's see. That is actually very pretty. So I think I am going to cut some of that off, and I'm going to put this down like that, and then the ribbon along the top edge. So we'll do that, and then I'll sew it all down to the page, and we'll go from there. All right, so I sewed down the ruffle to the back side, and then I took my crinkle ribbon, I tied 2 knots at either side, either end, and then I sewed it down to sort of hide the stitching from the ruffle. And then I think I have this little stack of cutouts from my kit, the 49 and Market kit, and I think I'm going to, when I get the pocket on to the journal, I am going to add some of these pieces for embellishment, but I'm going to do that later, and I may even wait until it's all done. I may do this butterfly right there, this moth. I kind of like that. Actually, I like that a lot. I think I'd probably add that when I'm all done. So first I'm going to, I don't know if I'm going to stitch it or glue it. I think I might glue it because I need to clamp it so it really fits tightly to the edges. So I am going to just apply some glue to my edges here, to my gussets, and then I'm going to clamp it down really good so I can sort of monitor, because when you sew it, it can get off. It can sort of go, get a mind of its own and sort of go its own way, like the old Fleetwood Mac song. And let me just do this. So I'm going to start on this end. I'm going to go right up to the edge and to the bottom, and I'm going to take my clamps. I'm just going to clamp it on there like that. Then I'm going to go to the other edge and do the same thing and clamp it on there as well. Get it right up to this. I went over just a little bit in my cutting, but it matches really well, so it really won't make that much of a difference, but I am going to clamp it down, and then I'm going to clamp the bottom. Make sure it stays on there really well. So those things are going to need to dry. It's all clamped. See, and I've got to clamp it right there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it, and I'm going to clamp it as well. I know I'm going to take a bigger clamp. Let's see. I think I'm going to take this one, and I'm just going to clamp it like that to keep it nice and tight. So that is what that little pocket is going to look like. And then finally, for this signature, I've chosen some lace for this inside. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do maybe a lace pocket like that. I thought I would maybe do a belly band. I used this lace for a belly band in another journal, and I really liked the way it looked. So I think I might do that, and I like the way the words, you can see that lace, it's really pretty. I like the way the words of that poem show through. Either that, or I'll do this sort of a belly band, but this would hide. Oh no, the words show through there as well. I don't know, that might be better. I do think I like that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to think I'm going to glue this down. I'm going to even up the edges. I think actually I'll go over so that I can cut right to the edge, and then I'll bend it and cut that as well. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac for this, and I'm going to just run it along the edge and run it along this edge. And then I'm going to take my piece of eyelet and just put it there, let it dry. I like the way the words show through there. Can you see how it's so faint? You can just see the words of the poem coming through. And I might do my daisies up here like that. I like those daisies. They're really pretty. They were interesting to cut out. Okay, so let me get that off of there. So you see I can take my scissors and just cut this off nice and neat along the edge so it fits the edge nice and neat. And then do the same thing, being very careful not to cut into the fold of my page. There, that's nice. That looks great. Okay, so there's that belly band. Let's see how my clamping is going. Let's see if it still needs, no, it's holding nicely. Let's see if I can take these off now. I think I can. I think it'll dry the rest of the way on its own, especially since I am going to put that in here and see how it looks. So there is the almost finished signature, and as you can see, we can tuck things in like that, and like, let's see, like this. That's good. And then we've got this double pocket here, and then we've got to finish this page and this page. This page I may do a lace. Now I have this comes from the kit. You know, all these 49 to Market 12 by 12 paper kits usually come with some extra fussy cuts, and I was thinking possibly of putting that right there, and that might be nice juxtaposed against that pretty blue page. And I've taken a fussy cut daisy and put it on this nice little whatever this is, and I think what I'll do is I will actually make a gusset here using some papers, and then I will turn that into a nice tuck spot. And then all I'll need to do is do this page here, which perhaps I'll use my, oh, that looks nice for my belly band. I might use that there. I've also got this little sweet piece that I was thinking would make a nice little pocket, and that looks nice there as well. Or maybe a up tuck like that. That might be nice. I'm gonna think about those things. So this is what we've accomplished today on the Jane Eyre Journal. We've done some collaging, we've done this belly band, we've finished off this side pocket, we've done the double pocket, which of course will be able to hold things like this, and we've done that. We've gotten the idea to do this, which would look nice. So we've got 1, 2, 3 more pages to do, and then we'll be done with the middle signature, and then we can go on to some of the other signatures. This is going to be the first signature. Oh, I did place this lace here. I thought that would be a nice lace up tuck. The center signature was done before I even started showing you this journal. So I've got to do all those. And then we have the third signature, which does have the middle pocket done and this second pocket. So we've got quite a few pages left to go. And then the other thing we sort of need to do is we need to examine how we want it to be. I know I want that to be my first signature, but the second and third signatures can be interchangeable if they need to be. Maybe do that. So we'll see. So I hope you enjoyed the progress that we're making on this journal. Thank you so much for all your really nice comments. If you have any questions, just ask. I will try my very best to answer the questions. And if something I talk about I don't link below, just remind me and I'll get to that. And I hope everyone has a wonderful work week. Today is Sunday, but I'll be posting this probably in the next couple of days after I get it all fixed up for YouTube. Thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of your friendship. Really, thank you so much. Bye.